So what if I told you that the source of all your daily struggles, the anxiety, the frustrations, wasn't really the world around you, but maybe just a simple misunderstanding happening inside your own head? Today, we're going to dive into a really powerful idea from Eastern philosophy that offers a practical way to deal with that inner conflict and find some genuine, lasting peace.
All right, to get started, we need to look at the one thing this philosophy points to as the source of pretty much all our suffering. And it's a conflict that doesn't happen at your job or in your family. It happens right between your own ears.
I mean, we've all been there, haven't we? That feeling of being totally stuck in a fight with yourself. You're the hero and the villain all at the same time, and you just can't seem to find a way out of the loop.
And here's the crucial insight, the real aha moment from the source material. This battle isn't actually with your boss, or your partner, or the bills. The fight is with a reflection. We are constantly reacting to shadows in our own minds, the stories we tell ourselves, the fears we cling to, the rigid ideas of how things are supposed to be.
This analogy from the spiritual teacher Girish Jha just captures it so perfectly. When we lash out in anger or get paralyzed by fear, we're literally like a cat hissing at its own reflection. It's a deluded mind creating its own suffering because it can't see that the threat is just a part of itself.
Okay, so if fighting our own reflection is the problem, what in the world is the solution? Well, the path forward is all about cultivating one single, powerful focus that completely changes how we see everything.
The first tool in the toolbox is something called discernment, and you can honestly think of it like a superpower. It's the ability to hit pause and see what's actually going on without all the fog of our ego or our knee-jerk emotional reactions. It's what allows us to respond with wisdom instead of just, reacting like an animal.
But here's the thing, to use that superpower of discernment, you need something else first, a state of dispassion. And let's be super clear here, because this word gets a bad rap. This does not mean being cold or not caring. Not at all. It's about building up this deep inner calm that creates a buffer, that little pause between something happening and how you respond. It's only in that quiet space that discernment can actually do its job.
And this brings us to the core shift in thinking. I mean, just think about it for a second. Most of us are pulled in 1,000 different directions by all these external desires. We want more money, we want people to like us, we want things to go our way. It is an absolutely exhausting chase. The alternative is to take all that scattered energy and unify it into one single internal goal, the burning desire for awakening, for inner peace itself.
And here's why that state of calm is so incredibly powerful. It's not just about lowering your stress levels. It's a gateway. The teachings say it unlocks 6 spiritual treasures. These are essential human qualities, like real self-control, faith, and endurance, that just stay locked away as long as we're trapped in that cycle of constant reaction. Okay, I know some of this might be sounding a bit abstract, but I promise the actual method is incredibly practical. It's not about getting rid of your desires. It's about separating your desires from your delusions.
And this is just such a critical point. This path is not about becoming some kind of passionless robot. You can still have massive ambitions, you can still want to build amazing things and have incredible relationships. The whole point is to go after all of that without the painful, crazy-making delusion that your happiness and your self-worth are tied to the outcome.
Let's look at a really concrete example. So, say your big proposal at work gets rejected. The deluded mind, that's the one on the left, it immediately goes to, I'm a failure, they don't respect me, you know the script. But now look over at the discerning mind's reaction on the right. It recognizes, whoa, I am clinging to the need for approval. The pain I'm feeling is my attachment to being seen as right. See the difference? It's night and day. One creates suffering, the other creates awareness.
So here's a super actionable technique you can start using today. When you feel that trigger go off, first thing, just pause. Catch the reaction before it snowballs. Second, label it. Just say to yourself, okay, this is attachment, or yep, this is fear of the unknown. And third, just gently remind yourself, I am not this thought. It's just a cloud passing through the sky of your mind. That alone creates instant space.
So all this theory is great, but what does it actually look like when the rubber meets the road in our messy, everyday lives? Let's take a look at a few stories from people who are really putting these ideas into practice. All right, here's David. He's dealing with a major conflict at work. His old instinct? Attack. Send that fiery, nasty email. We've all been there. But by using these principles, he was able to pause and draft an email that was both firm and compassionate. And guess what? It led to a much, much better outcome.
Or take Barbara's story about her grandson.
Her immediate desire was to jump in, to text him, to try and control the situation, but she recognized that was coming from her own attachment. So, by choosing dispassion, she didn't interfere. She just let it be. And for her, that was a huge accomplishment in letting go.
I absolutely love this story from Dennis. A pipe bursts in his house. I mean, that's a classic external crisis demanding immediate action, right? The mind is screaming, go get the tools, fix it now. But his inner guru, as the source calls it, guided him to prioritize his inner state first. He knew that fixing his own mind was actually more important than immediately fixing the pipe.
These stories really drive home the point that this isn't some quick fix or a magic pill. It's a fundamental shift in how you live your life, a continuous, lifelong journey of practice and growth.
So what are the big takeaways from all this? First, this is a journey, not a destination. It's not a weekend workshop. The source actually warns against becoming a spiritual tourist, someone who just dabbles for the good feelings. Real, lasting change only comes from sustained daily practice. The goal isn't to finally arrive somewhere, but to just keep walking the path.
And this quote really just sums it all up, doesn't it? The whole mindset is one of constant learning and humility. Even the masters of this practice, people who have been doing it for decades, still consider themselves seekers, because the journey of discovering yourself, well, it never really ends.
And all of this, everything we've talked about, it brings us to one final, powerful question. A question for you to take with you from this explainer.
We spend so much of our lives testing the world, trying to make it give us what we think we want. The source material leaves us with one final challenge, and it's this. You spent a lifetime testing the world. Are you finally ready to test yourself?